So we're here to talk about the development campaign. We have a team that's been working on this for some time. I'd like to introduce it to you. To my left here is Nick Brown, who's been the chair leading it. We have Ed back here. We have David. Thank you, David. I've only known you 100 years. Anybody? Oh yeah, we have Craig back here. And Rick. Yeah, we got Rick. And Pastor David, who can forget him?
I sometimes do.
So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nick and let him tell you a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, and thank you all for taking the time out of your morning to come and learn about this. For those of you who were at the congregational meeting back in May, one of the topics of discussion that came up was the fact that, hey, we've got some HVAC units and maybe a leaky roof, and we're working on a way of correcting that. And right before that meeting, one of the things the church council did was they solicited a committee made up of the people that Joe just introduced to you, and we've spent the last 8 months kind of looking at what would be the appropriateness and the applicability of doing, for lack of a better term, a fundraising campaign to correct the maintenance issues. And one of the things they said was, hey, if we're doing this, let's really kind of talk to some other key stakeholders in the congregation and find out, is this the most and best that we can do? So what our committee did is we reached out to council committee chairs, staff, other members of the congregation to say, hey, what would we need to do as a congregation to really lean into our mission and vision? What can we do with the facility that we currently have, both physically and digitally, to really seek and welcome and connect all? So we spent the last 8 months kind of putting together a project list in coordination with church council to say, hey, if we fixed the HVAC and we fixed the roof, if we made some upgrades to the existing facility, and if we made it easier for people to find us and connect with us, that would be a pretty good way for us to live into our mission and vision. And so that's what you see before you, is because we are going to propose at the congregational meeting that Lord of Life undertakes this development project. I'm going to pause there and see if anybody has any questions yet. Fantastic. That just means I'm doing a phenomenal job, and I appreciate that. So we've got this broken up into 3 parts. Part 1, facilities improvement. It's Texas. We have to have air conditioning. We would like to think that we need a roof over our heads. There are some things that we just have to do from a building upkeep. And so our recommendation to church council was there's certain HVAC units that really need to be replaced sooner rather than later, and this project should cover those. There's certain sections of the roof that really need to be replaced sooner rather than later, and this project should cover those. The next thing we proposed was some facilities upgrades, both to the education wing, in this particular area, the fellowship hall, and in the sanctuary. Mostly in the education wing, refreshing the spaces that are over there, making them more usable, rearranging a part of the education wing so it's a little bit more in line with today's current safety standards. And then rehabbing like some of the common areas, the bathroom, stuff like that. And then last, but certainly not least, was how do we make it easier for people to find us in today's world, right? If we do all these things to our physical space, well, how do we make sure that people are able to find Lord of Life, come into the building, and get the experience that we say our mission and vision is? And so we also suggested this brand identity refresh, which is really geared towards updating the way we communicate our message out into the world, so that when the world sees it, they want to come and be a part of our congregation. When they get here, what they see is what they get, meaning the mission and vision and communication we put out in the world is in line with their experience here. And we thought really hard about this and feel like this is a very, oh, Rick says this one's better. And feel like that's a very important piece of the campaign. So all three of these things work together to provide this cohesive development campaign where we're seeking to welcome and connect all with God's love. Now, to do all those things, it's going to take some time and cost some money. So we currently estimate that this would be about a 3-year project. 3 years for fundraising, 3 years for some of the work, and then there's some things that could be done a little quicker in conjunction with the fundraising piece, right? So we don't have to wait to the very end to get some of this work done, because it can be kind of it can be complementary, right? Total estimated cost for the project is about $1.36 million. That includes $300,000 for facilities maintenance, that's HVAC and roof, about $800,000 for facilities improvements, that's education wing, fellowship hall, and sanctuary, $120,000 for the brand identity refresh, and then a tithe on top of that gets us to the 1.36.